Hello and welcome to today's video. So this time we're going to be taking a look through some of the books I got in that amazing vintage paperback haul recently, specifically these Collins White Circle crime novels. Now, I had a few of these in my collection already, but really only a handful. So by putting those together with what I've recently picked up, we've got about 100 of these to go through. Fantastic selection of authors, loads of Agatha Christie's, there's some services editions, some Canadian editions, even one of the rare Indian editions. So across the board, there's loads of great stuff here to look at. So that will be the subject of today's video. So sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Okay, so this is the very first Collins crime paperback. The Collins Crime Club, an absolute classic to launch it. Agatha Christie's Murder on the Orient Express. Doesn't get much more classic than that, does it? Now, it lists the first 6 on the back. And one of the real issues with this series is trying to identify sort of first paperback editions, because it's actually quite tricky, because if you look at the inside of this one, you see it's like number 1 there at the top. If you have a little look at this, it says the first impression, but that's actually the first hardback impression. Then it was reprinted in January, February, June, then January, March, May, and then just under a year later, the 8th printing came out, March 1936, which I believe is when these started. Now, initially they did get released in these the familiar sort of covers, the 2 guns, and also the early ones, a bit like the early Penguins, they did have dust wrappers in. So this one actually underneath, you can see it's really like a sharp copy here. Really nice edition, this one. And this is the original wrapper. Obviously, it's got a little bit of spotting and things like that, but it's a good opportunity to see the actual sort of design there. Very nice, and very similar to the Penguins, of course, which have been released literally about a year prior to this, once again using the green as their sort of moniker for crime. So you have to wonder if Collins, the hardback publisher, just thought, well, we need our own paperback imprint, and we might as well follow Penguin's lead. And these couldn't be more like Penguins if they tried. Certainly, they do stick to the crime. However, there are some later ones which are in different colours, which we'll see as we go along. So there is, what an absolutely beautiful copy to start off the run. And as we'll see, we've got about 100 of these to get through, so I better not dwell too long. But I wish they were all in that condition, because sadly they're not. Here is the next one. So these ones aren't numbered on the spine like the Penguins are, but they were numbered obviously on the back. This is number 2, Mystery in the Channel, Freeman, Wills, Croft. There we are. And this particular collection that I got recently did have a lot of the early ones in, so I was really pleased. This is number 3. X versus Rex, Martin Porlock. This one is in a dust wrapper again. Now, in actual fact, although these have all been cleaned now and they do look good, I've spent over 10 hours getting them into this shape, because they were incredibly dusty and dirty, particularly along the top edges. Absolutely notorious for bad glue on the spines, so some of them have needed re-gluing, but now I've got them into a stage where they're pretty much as good as I'm going to get them. This is the Crime Conductor, number 4, so that's the first 4 there. A bit of a, you would say, only a VG sort of dust wrapper there, but underneath it's lovely. Shot at Dawn here, John Rhode. Now, he's an author I didn't know a lot about, but he's got a lot of books published by Collins, and he's highly regarded. Yeah, number 5 there. So as I said, I did very well on the first few here, all in dust wrappers, all things considered, quite nice copies considering their age. And then RIP, which is number 8 now. Phillip Macdonald. And I suppose the only thing is they've gone for this very uniform look, much like the Penguins, because they become instantly identifiable on the shelf, I'm guessing. Here's another Agatha Christie. So why didn't they ask Evans, which is number 9. Certainly this one's been through the wars. Well, all of these have been through the wars, but this one's had some tape removal, which I've had to do my best on and try and preserve this copy, which was in quite a sorry old state. But it's Agatha Christie and it's a great book, and I just don't want to let any of these go. So I've had to be very, very careful on that one. But the best you could say is it's all there, bar the dust wrapper, which is better than nothing, isn't it? End of an Ancient Mariner, GBH and M. Cole. So as far as I know, this is number 10. As far as I know, all of these came out as Collins Crime Club hardbacks first of all, and they had a few reprints, and then the paperback editions came along afterwards. Now this one I've actually got 2 copies of, Calling All Cards. There was 2 in the collection. It wasn't one that I already had. Thankfully the ones I already had weren't doubled up. So this is number 12 in the series. I'm just looking at the printing history on this one. So this says it was a 6th edition from June 1936. And then I've got another copy here, perhaps in slightly better condition than that. And it's the same edition, the 6th edition from 1936. So I've actually got a spare copy there, which is quite nice. So I shall pop that in my swaps box. It's another one from Phillip Macdonald here, The Wraith. And it's nice that they've got the series listed on the back there. Number 14 this is. And the other thing I love about these early ones is there's these pre-war ones. They're so sort of weighty. They're really, they feel so great in the hand. Yeah, really well made. Particularly if they're still in nice shape, if they've been looked after. Poison for One, John Rhode. What you find is with crime books, especially, is that they just get red and red and red. Now this is interesting. I've noticed this on a few of them. You can see this sort of black. This is where it's been caught at the printers, and some of the black cover ink has somehow managed to splash off onto the page block. But that happens now and again. And then this one here, so this is number 17, Corpse in the Constable's Garden. What a great title. Oh, that's brilliant. So that's sort of the first stack of 7 gone through. So I'm just going to pause it there. I'm going to make a bit more room, and I'm going to get the next lot out. So this is number 17, I believe. Yeah. Number 18, Death Comes to Perigord, by John Ferguson. So this one's also in a dust wrapper. Admittedly, once again, it's got a bit of spotting on. But that's all right, because generally speaking, if it's had a wrapper, it means underneath it's absolutely beautiful, such as this one. So the wrappers do seem a little bit susceptible to foxing, not unlike the Penguins. But as I said, the main thing about these that I found was that the spines hadn't held up very well. No real idea what caused that, and just except the glue, possibly. Another one by John Rhode, Hendon's First Case. And these do feel so great in the hand. Number 21 this is. They do just feel great. They really do. You could sort of dip into one of these right now and have yourself a bit of classic 1930s crime. Fantastic. Much like the early Penguins, of course, you know. They were so well made. As we'll see as time goes on, unfortunately, the war and wartime paper rationing soon put an end to this. Now, this one's got quite a bit missing from the dust wrapper here. Night in Ngaio, John Ferguson. So he's in a bit of an old state here. There's an ex-library from J.M. Dollar. Wonder who that was. But this is number 24. It's quite a fragile one. And you'll see as we go along, and this is one of the reasons why I did it on a whiteboard here, little bits of the books are literally falling off. They're that sort of brittle and delicate. This is another one which is, seen better times. The Murder of Caroline Bundy. And this one, the list has gone off the back now, and it does mention some of the other series that Collins do, such as the Wild West books, mystery, which are like the purple ones, romance, a little John Goldsworthy Forsyth saga, like sub-series. And it says there's a list of the books at the end, but that appears to be missing from this one. So that one may even have a few missing pages. Some slightly better condition. The Kink, Lynn Brock. But I don't care how bad these is. I'm not going to throw any of them away until I would get lucky and get a better copy come my way. So here is this is what we were looking for. So this is, you could join the crime club, and they would send you crime club news, which was like a little promotional magazine. I bet they're scarce. Here's a list of some of the westerns. So unfortunately, Collins made the classic mistake of numbering the books incorrectly. So Wild West Club, they start from 101. The romance books start from number 300. The John Goldsworthys were 301 up. The crimes were in the green here. And the mysteries were the purple coloured ones, starting from 200. The problem was, within a few years, they'd already caught up with each other. So the numbering sort of overlapped a bit. And we'll see sort of examples of that a little bit later on. But they really didn't think ahead. They should have just given them a different number. But anyway, that's a nice copy of that one, The Kink. Next one's Philip Macdonald's The Noose. And they got such almost like iconic titles, haven't they? And this one's missing the dust wrapper flap. It's all there, number 34. And this is back to having the more recent titles on the back of the book, of the dust wrapper at least. Number 36 here, Murder Runs in the Family. Hulbert Footner. So I'm imagining that Collins Crime Club collectors, of which I'm sure there are many, judging by how collectible the publisher is. That's a lovely copy. Mystery at Greycombe Farm. Lovely wrappered copy. I would imagine that, I suppose once you've got all the hardbacks, this is what you move on to, is collecting the paperbacks. Look at that one. That's a beauty, isn't it? You wouldn't think that was 1936, would you? Absolutely phenomenal condition for an 84-year-old paperback. A little bit of spotting on the dust wrapper, but once again, I think this is one that I had to re-glue the spine because the glue had just come to bits. But that's absolutely beautiful, really, really good. And I have to admit, going through these recently, as I said, it spent 10 hours getting them into what I would call a nice clean condition. The level of dust along the top was really, really phenomenal. It took a lot of work. Another one from John Rhode here, the Motor Rally Mystery. I have to say, I going through these initially, I thought, well, I've got a few of these. I was thinking of possibly just selling them on. But as I was going through and enjoying them, I just sort of fell in love with them. They're just so good. There's so many great books here, but there's also I've read all the Agatha Christie's multiple times when I was growing up, but there's so many books here I've never read, and I just thought for that reason alone, I'm going to at least dig in and read them before I decide to get rid of them. And what a nice run, well, you'll see come the end, having so many in one hit is just lovely, absolutely lovely, and not something I'm ever going to get this lucky to get again. You can go on eBay and places like that and pick up odd books, and some of these are as cheap as $5 a pop, but I've seen some in particularly nice condition, some of the services editions, of which there's loads, and the Indian export and Canadian export editions going for a lot of money, so there's no way I'd ever be able to get a sort of a full set of these, but I'm not trying to have this representation is just, I'm just delighted to have that. Even if they're not all in the greatest shape, at least some of them are. This is a 1938 now. Dangerous Cargo. One more in this stack, which is this one, Phillip Macdonald, The Choice. Brilliant stuff. What number is this? The Choice then. Number 46. There we are. So once again, that's that little stack. So I'm just going to pause once more. Here's another one that's in very nice condition. Detective Ben, whoever he was. Very nice. Under the wrapper. Gorgeous. And quite a lot of my penguins, you know, I've got them in dust wrappers, but I don't keep them in dust wrappers on the shelf. I just pop them into, I take the dust wrappers out and store them flat and have the unwrappered copies on display because they just look so much better. Number 55. Now a slight change in the cover format here in that they've added that line, a crime club sixpenny. Not sure why they did that. And we've got the introduction of adverts now on the back as well. So there's a chance that this may not be a first printing. Number 55. It says January 1939, so it's definitely an early printing. But as I said, trying to figure out what printing is a science in itself. Lynn Brock, and now we've got, as well as that being number 55, also we've got the numbers on the spine now. So you see this is numbered 56. So Murder on the Bridge, Lynn Brock. It certainly does make it a little bit easier for the collector to find out what's what. 57, Scandal at School. Quite a thick one, that probably the thickest so far. Obviously war is now on its way, and the UK is very soon going to be subject to air raids, and printers and publishers and warehouses start to get bombed, and paper gets in short supply. So these last few thick ones here are to be savoured, really. These last sort of early wartime date ones, because very soon the times change and paper rationing kicks in. And Collins were affected, like every publisher in the UK, with their paper ration, and the books start to get a bit thinner. The first thing we'll notice is that dust wrappers get dropped. So this is number 61, The Maze, Phillip Macdonald. Someone's cheekily written something on the front. How dare they? But underneath, once again, he's a nice copy. Quite presentable. An Old Lady Dies. Anthony Gilbert. That's a shame. Number 64. And when you think how the pre-war, and even anything pre-war penguin crime and during the war penguin crime is so expensive, it's not a surprise that this series itself is highly sought after, and when they do turn up they are quite pricey, some of them at least, because of when they were printed. And like a lot of crime, they just get read and read and read. So the fact that these have made it through the war is all the more impressive. 68 now, Mountain Mystery. A lot of these had like 20p's, 50p's inside. They've been found in the last like 30 or 40 years by this collector, and I was very happy to take them off their hands. Now this one's much thinner, so this is number 70, and it is a reprint because it's got 70C. So this is the format from much later, so it's not a first printing at all. It is just a later reprint, so we'll have a little look. In fact, it doesn't even give the publishing date on that one, but judging by that style, it's more like a later 40s copy than a first late 30s copy. But it's correct numerically. This is number 72, the Owl Taxi. Another stack done, number 76, The New Made Grave. Hulbert Footner. Lots of adverts for H. Samuel. definitely one of the advertisers in this series. And also, well, we'll see later on some jewellery. I think it's the same. So this is June 1939, so I'm pretty confident that is a first printing of that one. And that earlier one there is just like a later reprint. But that's cool. So we're almost halfway now. So let me just get the next pile. So this is another one by John Rhode, The Venner Crime, number 78, it says on the spine here. This one's 82, and this is a reprint because it's much, much thinner than the other books around that period, but it is an Agatha Christie, Death Comes as an End. But yeah, this is a later reprint. And that's interesting that Collins have listed by the same author down the spine there. But this would have been early 1940s for that particular edition. Then back to another Agatha Christie, but this is a proper first edition, number 88. Lord Edgware Dies. Nice classic of that one. Absolutely love the Agatha Christie's in these Collins crime editions. Nicholas Blake, A Question of Proof. And I'd be very interested to know, out of these books that I've read, very little beyond. I've read some of the Naomi Marsh, and I've read all the Agatha Christie's. So out of the books that you were seeing, who should I be reading? Who should I be trying? That is what I'd like to know. Give me some books that are in this collection that I really, really must read, because I will be guided by you guys. Number 95 here, Last Will and Testament. I'm looking for some good recommendations. Okay, so at 108, so a bit of a jump here now. Henry Holt, There Has Been a Murder. I mean, some of them just sound great, don't they? I have to say, and just such great books. So this is February 1940, so we've just dipped into 1940. And as we work our way through, the quality and thickness of these beautiful early editions is going to start to deteriorate. And we're going to start getting into the realm of a bit of paper rationing. 108, I also noticed, you see it there, it just added a little C after it, C for crime. This is 114C, A Belt of Suspicion, Russell Wakefield. 115, Murder at the College. And you can just start to see the books, they've lost their wrappers, and that's just starting to, the covers are still quite robust. So that's good news. They are like card covers, which is great, unlike some of the Penguins of this period, which are still quite thin. I mean, that's a really, considering when it was published, this is a really nice copy of this one, 115, and it's November 1940. I would be tempted to say that probably has never been read, that particular one. Really, really nice copy of that. Holiday at Half-Mast, J. Jefferson Farjon, 118. John Rhode again, Death at Breakfast, 121. What a time to go, eh? Just when you're having your toast. 124, Mystery at the Rectory. No advert on the back of that one, just a house ad for White Circle Crime, Collins White Circle Crime. Couple more from this stack. Exit John Horton, 127. And the last one from this little pile, 129. Murder at the Vicarage. Another classic Agatha Christie, 1940. Pretty scarce, I'm imagining, that bad boy. Brilliant. So I'm going to need to spread these out a little bit, make a little bit more room, but we're well over halfway now. So we're about 2/3 of the way through. Right, so this is 132C, and that's Murder in Suffolk, A. Fielding. So definitely you can see the books have got a bit thinner now, but they've still got quite nice, robust card covers, which I do actually really like. 137, Belt of Suspicion, Russell Wakefield. Got adverts for Jif on the back. They certainly advertised in Penguins as well of this period. Now this one, he's missing the bottom bit of the number, unfortunately, but I did look it up and it's number 142C, and that's the Bell of Death. Now, I will put a little link to a website that I've found. It's a person's blog, but this particular chap is a real expert in wartime crime paperbacks and wartime and pre-war paperbacks, and he's done a fantastic job. And it's more like a blog rather than like a reference website, but I'll put a link to it below. I can't quite remember the chap's name, but I'll certainly link to the website. And I found it really, really fascinating. And sadly, he's after information on some of the services editions and Indian editions, but sadly, I wasn't able to provide anything else beyond what was already on the website. 143C there, off with her head. 7 dead there, 146. So that website, it doesn't just do these Collins White Circles. He does the Albatross crime books, obviously Penguin books, and many, many others there. 155, Going, Gone. Phoebe Atwood Taylor. And I cannot wait to get these all shelved up on a couple of really nice shelves. I think they're just going to look terrific. Absolutely terrific. 159, Siren in the Night. (163), The Body in the Library, absolute classic. Now, this is one of the ones that I've got 2 copies of, but they've got different numbers. So all I can think of is they just reprinted it later on and gave it a brand new number rather than reprinting it with the same number. Absolutely brilliant book here. Certainly one of my favourites of the Christies. It's 163C. Moving Finger, 164. Another great one. Green Mask, 165. So I imagine then that what happened was, for that first year, 1935, Agatha Christie allowed 3 of her books to be published by Penguin. There was one in the first 10 Penguins, of course. And then her hardback publisher comes and says, well, look, we publish all your hardbacks, you need to give us rights. So that must have been how it continued until the end of the war, because then Pan come along and they publish they start publishing Agatha Christie's, and there's several in the first 100 Pan books, and then more in the 50s they're published by Pan and Penguin, and Collins of course have gone by then, so at least in these paperback editions. So I guess that's what's happened, and then eventually they over the decades they come back to Collins, which is her publisher again today. 169, the judge sums up. But the history of Agatha Christie, and she had that great run in Fontana, didn't she, in the 50s and 60s. The history of Agatha Christie in paperback is absolutely fascinating, and there's so many great editions, and that's before we even look at all the American ones. Ngaio Marsh, the first one of those we've seen today, 171, colour scheme. So if you just collect Agatha Christie in paperback, you've got some fantastic editions in your library, I'm sure. This is a second copy of this one, not so good. I'm imagining it's exactly the same. It's just, one was much better than the other. So that one, like the other one, I've got a couple of spares of these. But I'm just showing you everything that came in that collection. So 172, The Case of the Tea Cozy's Aunt. What a name. Another one we've quite beaten up, that one, 172. 175, The House of Shadows, J. Jefferson Farjon. And I've noticed a lot of the adverts on these very much seem to be aimed at women. Happy is the Bride, with a Bravington's Ring. They're sort of, the adverts have been sort of aimed at ladies. So whether that was, here it is again, a variation of it, whether that was on purpose, maybe the main readers of these were ladies. But I mean, I love classic classic crime. So, oh yeah, I remember this one. So this was great. I had the ad there, but this whole first chapter, look, it's misprinted and it's never been like razored open. So this has been bound. It goes straight in at chapter number 2. So those pages have never been looked at. So I could put a razor in and razor through, but I don't think I will. I'll leave it exactly as it is. And that was number 177. And we got 178 here. The Case of the Abominable Snowman. Now, I don't know if that was what the later Hammer film was based on. Don't really know on that, but lovely copy of that one. And these are Wartime, but they're not. I don't think they're dated, unfortunately. I know there's some. As I said, I mentioned that great website, and they give that chap gives his best guess on a lot of these. And there is a book on Collins Crime Club, but it focuses more on the hardbacks, unfortunately, rather than the paperbacks, which may be an even tougher run to put together. I don't know. Another great Christie here, number 179, Sparkling Cyanide. See, the later reprints, sort of the 50s reprints of the Christies, have her face on the front. These original ones just stick to the main sort of logo. Death Came Softly, 181. Death Comes as the End, 182, another Christie. And I said there was about 18, 20 or so Agatha Christie's, and boy, oh boy, was I delighted to see all those. Also, in the same collection, I found there was about 900 or so vintage Pan books, of which almost all the Agatha Christie's were in there, and I've almost got them all anyway. So I'm going to have lots of spares to trade on. So that's good news. So keep your eyes out for the Pan videos coming up. There's already a few on my channel, but these are particular Pan ones that I'm going through. That was 183, 184. The Oval Table. There's also a really great Agatha Christie Facebook group that I'm a member of. I've been a member of it for a long time, and they post some fantastic stuff. So do check that one out. I'll put a link to that one as well below. So yeah, that great website, and also the Agatha Christie Facebook group. Also for vintage Pan paperbacks, including all the Christies. In fact, my friend Tim has done a special section on Agatha Christie in Pan. I've done a video of all the Agatha Christies in Pan, but my friend Tim has a website devoted to the vintage Pans, so that's worth checking out. 186C, 1-2 Buckle My Shoe. Finally, I've written an article for Agatha Christie in Vintage Pan Books, which is published in an American magazine called Paperback Parade, and that new issue is due probably about a month or so from when I'm filming this. If it is available, I should put a link to that as well in the description down below, so you can pick yourself up a copy. 188 is Unidentified Woman. Certainly a lot of people like to collect the Agatha Christie's in Pan, as there's rather a lot, and they are lovely. Crack of Dawn, Leslie Ford. This is number 190 now. Just phenomenal, aren't they? There's just over 300 in the series of these. Alice Campbell. But then there's, I think, 60 or 70 services editions, which I couldn't believe there's so many. So good luck tracking them down. Then there was a huge run. I say huge. There was a selection of books. I don't know exactly how many, but there was a run that were reprinted in India and a run that was reprinted in Canada with picture covers. And I've got some examples of those just coming up in a minute. That's a nice copy of 193, The Undesirable Residence, Miles Burton. That's really nice, that one. Nice copy. Some of these are so beautiful, and then others are real dogs, you know. Five Little Pigs, another great Agatha Christie title. Did such a good job on these. See, this is our second copy of The Body in the Library. Now, I've got a copy there, 163C. This is 198C. So I don't know why they re-released it with a different number for exactly the same book, but there it is. You know, it's not a services edition. I just double check it's not one of the Indian. No, it's not one of the Indian editions. So I really don't know Why? Because when Pan did it, Pan would re-release books with a different number, but it would be because the price had changed, so it got assigned a different number. I don't know why Collins did it, so if anyone can leave a little note to explain that in the comments, that would be great. Now the next three are quite interesting because they've all got these spines on, which almost look like homemade. They're like reinforced, and they're not in the traditional Collins format, you see. And the next three are like this. They've got all the numbers on. They look official. I just don't understand what's happened here. Now, have they been rebound? And if so, was it by the Wartime sort of bookbinding that went on, the Central Services Book Depot? Because here's another one, 201, 3-Act Tragedy. And the third one I've got, 202, Elizabeth Ferrers Murder Among Friends. So was it just these three, or have these three books been through the rebinding process, which I know a lot of books did to give them extra life? And that's why they've ended up looking like that. Very interesting, don't you think? There's only three that are like that, so I'd love to know if that was the case. Have they just been through the Wartime Book Repository and been given a new lease of life that way? Anyway, last stack coming up with some of the most interesting ones. Okay, so 204, the March Hare Murders, Elizabeth Ferrers. Just slip those in there. Taken at the Flood, yet another Agatha Christie, 206. They are great, aren't they? Really, really great to have these. Even if they are, some people consider them super uniform, which I admit they are, but even so, still lovely old editions. And in a lot of cases, the first ever paperback editions of some of her books. So this is classed as a Collins mystery rather than a Collins crime. So they came in these sort of bright sort of pink covers. So Dorothy Sayers, nice author. And this number is volume 210. So that is why it's in this spot here. So 210. But in actual fact, if you look at the spine, it's much more akin to one of the earlier books. So dating this is probably around 1937, 38, something like that. 210, room number 6, J. Jefferson Farjon. And some of these, they just scream, you need to know, what was it about room number 6? It's just, you just want to dip in, don't you? They're that cool. 214, Wings of Fear, M.G. Eberhardt. The Silent Speaker, 215, Rex Stout. So another Christie, 216, Evil Under the Sun. A bit of a beaten up copy, these, but let's not forget these were all published. All of these that we've looked at are all sort of slightly pre-war and then during the war period. So the fact that they've survived at all is just great. I'm not complaining one little bit. 218, The Third Victim, J. Jefferson Farjon. Not an author I can say I've ever read. Now this next one is once again probably the latest one in the series. It's got a much shinier cover. I think this is like late 40s, so still pumping them out. It's got a 2 shilling price, although that's a sticker. That's a sticker over there. Sadly not dated, but I'm pretty sure this is either late 1940s or, yeah, I don't even think it's late 50s. It's just a late 40s copy of that one. Of number 250. Now this is the first one of these we've seen. So this is a services edition. So it's one designed for the armed services, Spearhead. It says C297. And this edition is produced for the Central Services Book Depot for circulation to the fighting forces of the Allied nations, which I think those ones there were as well, But this was especially printed for them. It's just a normal novel, but I don't believe it's classed as a crime book. Yeah, so first published 1943, Services Edition 1946. I don't believe that's a crime title, but I don't know for sure. I don't know for sure. A photograph cover there, I think it's unlikely, but I don't know. Interesting that. Now we got another one of the mysteries. So Lawrence Maynell. This is 331M, and the M stands for mystery. Got the policeman on the front. As I said, some of the later Christies have a line illustration of Agatha Christie on the front. Not the best of conditions, these, but we don't mind. Now this is another unusual. So this is Going Abroad. So this is 501. This is a different series again. A white circle edition of novels by famous authors. And this one's in a wrapper. So it makes you think this was probably 1936, 1937 by the feel and the weight of it. That would probably be about right. Pretty nice copy of that one. A little tanned in that, but even so, pretty nice, that one. Then we've got this red one here, and this is a White Circle news book, The Riddle of the Kremlin, Eileen Bigland, stock press edition. So you have to say this looks just like a Penguin special. It's a topical subject at the time of the Second World War, and it's been published in volume N1, a Collins news book. And it published during the war, 1940, and this has to be in response to the Penguin specials. It's as simple as that, and that is what that is. The cheeky publishers. Right, so now we go on to a little run of services editions that I've got. So this is another one produced for the forces, at 5 Little Pigs, Agatha Christie, and it has the number, I think it's 305, I think is the services edition number for this one. And any service edition for any publisher I always try and grab because I find them fascinating. So first published 1943, services edition 1945. And it's a bit wider than a regular Collins. If we choose this one here, for example, you can see just a little bit, it's a little bit wider. Not a lot. The height is slightly smaller and the width is slightly wider. So I don't know why they changed the dimensions on it. Some of the Guild books are a bit like that as well. So just leave that there. And here's another services edition, but this is a later one. This is more traditional dimensions. This one's got that card cover, and quite a few of these were like this apparently, where they've got the surplus stock of this edition has been purchased by W.H. Smith & Son for sale at 1 shilling. So William Collins have put their sticker on the front there. So this was a services edition, but W.H. Smith have legitimately bought the stock and are selling it through W.H. Smith's. Another one from 1946. Here's another one, 274, Green Mask, and this was another one, much worse condition, with the W.H. Smith sticker on. This one's very much fallen to bits, but hey, it's a service edition, so I'm not gonna let it go, am I? All Fall Down, L.A.G. Strong. Now this one is this is, I believe, one of the Indian editions. Yeah, so this is an Indian edition. So it says the price in Ceylon, 1 rupee. How about that, eh? Super scarce, that one. And these remind me of the wartime Penguin Egyptian editions, which are also legendary scarce. I've got like one old one, and this is the only Indian edition that I've got. I did jump onto eBay and I found one other Indian edition that had sold fairly recently, and it had gone for 120 quid. It's like blimmin' heck. Now the only other thing, and I've not been able to find any of these at all, is I've got 2 Canadian editions. So these are 25 cents rather than pence. numbered on the spine there, 207. I've not been able to find any sort of definitive list of these. I admit I've not looked that hard, but as you can see, the Collins Canada information inside here, and being a Canadian edition, 1944, it's much more robust. It's been well made. Got the inked edges. Really, really nice, I have to say. Really, really nice. And I've got one more of those, which is this one, Green Mask, number 250, which is slightly later in the number in here. Weird Doings in a Haunted Castle. There you go. And this is also a Canadian one. Pretty cool, eh? And there you go. That is the entire Collins crime collection, my entire collection of Collins White Circle crime books, and they are absolutely fantastic. I'm sure you will agree. Let's just angle the camera up ever so slightly so you can get to see them all. What a collection that very much is, isn't it? So I hope you have enjoyed looking through them as much as I have today. It's certainly beautiful. If you have enjoyed today's video, do please give it a thumbs up. Do please hit that subscribe button for regular vintage paperback content. There's loads more to come on the channel. Always got something there, and there's a huge backlist for you to work your way through as well. Thank you very much for watching today, and I shall look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye.